Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the final installment of me reading the Heritage Foundation's top 7 priorities so you don't have to. We all probably knew this one was coming, but today we'll be talking about their 7th and final objective: protect unborn life and family formation. The intro to this section reads, all children conceived deserve to be born to married mothers and fathers who will love, guide, and protect them throughout their lives, but family breakdown and rampant abortion have torn apart the soul of the country and sapped it of its strength and moral authority. Radical ideologies that deny social and biological truths about sexual embodiment, marriage, and unborn life have poisoned our courts, our culture, and our laws. The Heritage Enterprise will mobilize and advance policies at the state and federal level to restore the nuclear family to the center of American life and reduce both the demand for and availability of abortion at all stages of human development. The Supreme Court's decision in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization that overturned Roe v. Wade was merely the end of the beginning of the abortion debate in America. And the pro-life conservatives have more work to do to protect life than ever before. We will defend the court victory by advancing pro-life legislation in states and at the federal level, and blocking the Democrats' efforts to enshrine abortion on demand in federal law. The steps outlined below represent significant progress towards these goals that can be achieved even in a divided government. Now, several things I want to point out is, first of all, this is not just about abortion. They say they want mothers and fathers to be married if they have a child together, which kind of implies a few things. And they mention this again when they bring up nuclear family, that they're looking at a definition of a married couple, that is a man and a woman, that if you have a child, they believe you should kind of need to stay married. They want that and leave it to beaver, both parents in the home. But we know that not all marriages are leave it to beaver households. Some of them involve abuse. Some of them are not parents of the opposite gender. They're same-sex parents where one has a child. So it really kind of disturbs me that they're calling it social and biological truth. There is no room for debate in something that somebody says is a truth. But let's look at some of the rest of this. When they start breaking down exactly what reforms they want to do, they mention up here that their standard is heartbeat bills. So if that fetus has a heartbeat, they believe that that's where their line of where they can govern conception begins. And while they say that they want to work with state-based allies in this, they're also talking about advancing legislation in the House and the Senate to ban the interstate commerce of abortion pills, or things like Plan B, where you couldn't send it from a pro-life state to one that is not a pro-life state, which is on the federal level. So there's a little bit of a push on both sides. I don't think this is just going to be something that they keep on the state level. And they even mention in the intro that will advance policies both on the state and the federal level, because they say that, the left having abortion rights and trying to encode them on a federal level is a threat to them. They also say that they want to encourage Congress to prohibit taxpayer funding of abortions, and that they want to expand the Weldon Amendment so that healthcare providers can say, well, I don't believe in abortion personally, so I am not going to perform one. Which, I don't know about you. I wouldn't want my abortion performed by somebody that didn't believe in it either. I want somebody who actually believes in what they're doing and is going to be paying attention to my health first and foremost, not their conscience. And most health providers, I feel like they wouldn't prioritize their personal feelings above a medical procedure. In healthcare of any kind, I work in mental health, not physical health, but in healthcare of any kind, you're kind of taught that, the patient comes first, your beliefs come second. The part that also gets me about this section is they say they want to stop the funding at home and abroad, which is where we might be getting some of this chatter about travel restrictions, where they don't want you going to another state, another country to obtain an abortion. But that wouldn't involve any taxpayer funding. So I'm wondering where that and abroad part is coming from. They also say that they want to delay Department of Health and Human Service regulators that would rescind pro-life protections for healthcare workers. That's kind of the same thing that they say up here. And that they would advance a bill to require non-government organizations, so like nonprofits, to agree not to perform any abortions if they want to receive any funding from the U.S. government. And usually these nonprofits, they're pretty reliant on government funding. So that's a really big deal. That could shut down organizations like Planned Parenthood entirely. And then they say down here at the bottom that they want to work with Congress to ensure there's an investigation into why the Department of Justice didn't respond and protect Supreme Court justices who faced illegal protests and threats after the Dobbs abortion decision. But really, I feel like that's kind of a matter for the police. If you receive a death threat, I would call the police. I don't think it's the government at a federal level necessarily that needs to take care of that. And then they come for the gays and the theys and everybody else under that bracket in the LGBT, saying that they want to reverse the momentum in Congress for bills that would protect what they call radical sexual orientation and gender ideology. And they also say here that they want to roll back the idea of replacing what they call biological understanding, which if you study biology, it's not black and white, male and female. There's a lot of shades of gray in between. But they want to replace that idea of a gender spectrum with what they call their biological understanding, which would go back to the gender binary of just male and female. And that they would bring their own researchers to make comments on that. At the state level, they want to develop and promote legislation and executive actions by governors that would prohibit transgender surgery on the distribution of puberty-blocking drugs to children, which we're already seeing happening and playing out in the Supreme Court right now. But being someone who works in mental health, this last sentence of this paragraph is really what's kind of disturbing to me, because it says, we will work to establish protections for the health and mental well-being of children experiencing or being counseled for gender dysphoria. So they want to come into mental health workers' jobs and professions, what we're trained to do for many, many years, and tell us how we should counsel children for gender dysphoria, which to me is very, very disturbing. Because the idea of anyone coming into your therapist's room and telling you what you can and cannot talk about is just a fundamental breach of that therapeutic relationship. But stay safe, everyone. This is some scary stuff. When they're talking about redefining families, it of course entrenches on personal liberty, because our family is our most basic unit, where we have the freedom to feel supported and where we have the freedom to choose who we want in our lives. And they're coming for that. Stay safe. And if you've managed to stay through this whole series with me, thank you. Truly thank you. Because it's not easy to talk about this stuff. We're all having a lot of anxiety about what's going to happen, how these policies are going to play out. But being informed is the first step in forming any kind of unity. So truly, thank you.